Hello. This is Paper Cuts Included coming to you live from the Ninja Turtle Sleeping Blanket, and that's how I know it's legit. Today is going to be a follow up of our Manga Monday series, where, if you haven't guessed, we look at a manga. We are going to be continuing the story of Dorohedoro with book one, but it's got so much in it that we talked about that we're probably going to have to split this into three parts. If this is your first ever Paper Cuts Included video, we are a comic book YouTube channel dedicated to talking about what we love. And what we love is art, specifically comic book art. So we talk about comic books, comic book art, art in general, artists, and we look at comic books under a technical aspect. What I mean by that is, excuse me, what I mean by that is we take books like this and we talk about the artist. Why do they do this? Why do they do that? What works? What might not work? You know, this channel is ran by me and my two co-hosts. We're all working artists in the community. I'll show off some of my artwork a lot. Not right now because all of it's in a car right now. But if you want to see my co-host artwork, he's been doing some amazing thumbnails. Our links for Instagrams and stuff like that will be in the descriptions below. So if you want to see our art, just go there. But like I said, we look at artwork rather than story. Yes, we talk about the story, but it's more so us talking about the artwork. I'd say it's an 80-20 split. So you've been warned. So like I said, we are going to be taking a look or continuing a look at Dorohedoro number 1, specifically chapter, I believe, 3 and 4, depending on the time I have. I think I have like 45 minutes worth of storage left on my phone. So we'll see what we can get done in that amount of time. Yep, 45 minutes and 43 seconds. So let's see what we can get done. So without further ado, let's flip into it. If you haven't watched the first video in this, or the first part of this, go check it out. It's a really good book. This is one of my favorite mangas. It's no Akira, but it's damn close to it. So go check it out. So I'm not going to really do a recap. Watch the first video if you need a recap. Like, comment, subscribe on it too, and you get a cookie. But we're going to start with chapter 3, and let's see what's going on with it. Really good cover, though. Most of the time when I do these under the microscopes, I talk about, is the cover successful? Would I pick this up in the store? And it's kind of hard to do that with manga because they came in magazines, I believe. So, I don't really do that test here. But the artist Q does do a really good job with the American mangas or how they look in America. I think they all look I think this is the same cover for this type of collection in Japan as well, but I think it works really well. But no, let's start flipping into it, see what we got. It opens with my favorite character, En, and Fujita just talking. And, we've been building up that En is kind of a top dog in this world. We set up that he is like a mob boss, kind of, and he's powerful and he's a sorcerer. So, when are we going to see his powers? Well, right now, the first 2 pages, you can throw a mushroom, put his smoke on it, which is done amazingly with this really good like ink splatters, really good brushwork, and he turns it into something. So he's got something to do with mushrooms, almost an Alice in Wonderland-esque character, which I like a lot. He is my probably favorite character, favorite sorcerer. Kaiman's probably my favorite character, but Kaiman and En, but no, really good. And like I said, if you need help with doing black and white books or need help doing expressions, look at mangas. A lot of people discredit manga. I've even met some people who don't consider them like comic books. They're wrong as hell. They're great. The story's great. Sometimes it's a little over sexualized for my taste with some of the books, but like this one's really good. Akira's really good. Dragon Ball is really good. Like, if you need a good adventure comic, read the first series. Just read Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, not I don't think GT was one, but no, the first Dragon Ball is a really good action story, like a adventure comic. But no, so yeah, look at mangas because you'll learn a lot. Like, it has really good pencil work, really good ink work. They do a lot with the allotted time they get, and you gotta remember these are shorter than American comics and they're smaller. So they're working on a smaller scale and a shorter scale. So if you need like help studying how to make that perfect short comic, look at mangas too, because they could do really cohesive stories with not a whole lot of stuff, you know? Let's keep her looking. But no, we flip and we get to see some of her because the artist is female. Her name is Q, and I don't want to mispronounce her last name. So I'm just gonna call her Q, and I need to figure out how she pronounces it because I don't want to offend her or anyone by mispronouncing it. So I'm gonna call her Q. Q's an amazing artist. Um, I found this book. I really liked it. It looks so different than every other manga at Barnes and Nobles. Picked it up, fell in love with it. Loved the show that came out on Netflix. I think it's getting a season 2. I need to finish this series. I'm about a third of the way done with it probably, so I need to get it done. But I like it a lot. So if you're looking for your first manga, this is a good one. But no, he the story so far is they're hunting down this duo, Kaiman and Nikaido, and he's setting them off to find the person who made Kaiman the way he is, because Kaiman is a victim. He's not an alligator person on purpose. He was made that way. So ends trying to get Fujita to find whom turned him into an alligator. So I wonder if we'll see that in this chapter. I guess that is something with manga or Japanese storytelling, is it's quick payoffs. It's not like a DC book where they'll mention it and then they'll take them 5 issues to find it. Like it's like by the spoiler alert, by the end of this chapter, we no we don't. Never mind. You don't find out. It is the person, but they don't tell you. But okay, never mind. They don't tell us in this chapter. They show it. I'm gonna shut up and just talk about the art now. But no, the art's really good. Like I don't know. She draws Kaiman really good. Like I need to know what reference she used for him. Did she go to a zoo and just study reptiles for like a week straight? And because there's some really good like images of Kaiman, which we'll talk. This is Kaiman. He is the alligator looking dude, and that is Nikaido. Good typography right there. Really good artwork, really good, a little hard to read, in the terms of flowing organically, but then you get this really good ink page. And I love it when people do really good ink artwork. And so as much as this might kind of fall flat, not in a bad way, but you do read it once or twice to get what's going on. Just seeing that page alone or this panel makes up for it tremendously. Like you can tell they're ink dots, they threw the ink and it looks really well. So think outside the box when you're doing black and white books. Don't just do, just line work and call it done, because that's just an outline. And I myself had to remind myself of that. But, practice. Think out of the box. Like that's your greatest tool as an artist, is thinking out of the box, you know? So just try. No, the scales look so good on Kaiman. And what this turns out to be a dream, you know? And really good storytelling here. Like Kaiman has spikes on the back of his head, and he spikes his pillow. Like you didn't have to add this panel or that panel. You could have just had this. Say it's a nightmare on a quote on here, and you go on with your day. But adding this really adds to the world, really adds to the character. So think about doing stuff like that when you're making books. How can you add to your character? Because this is a joke that I remember, and I'm sure I'm not sure. I know that's something you want to do with your artwork, is make stuff that people are going to remember. Make stuff that people will like, they'll laugh at in a good way. Don't have them laugh at your book, with your book. And, they'll keep coming back to it because they like the humor. And this is probably one of the best jokes in this book, is he spikes his pillow with his spikes. And I just think that's really ingenious, you know? And this is probably the most, what's that word? Reproduced image. Like, I swear Hot Topic has a shirt of this image. Ooh, I'm about to sneeze. Ooh. Bless me. But no, I think, this is the most reproduced image, and rightfully so. It's a great image. It is great. It's we talk about the silhouette test. Probably wouldn't pass it because he does look generic besides the head spikes, but this isn't a silhouette test. She's not trying to make her character recognizable in this. Kaiman looks amazing. She's a great figure artist. What I mean by that is drawing the figure. She does sell Kaiman as a very lanky um, reptile man, whereas in the Netflix show he's more stocky. But I do like this more slender reptile approach because he's supposed to be a reptile man. You know, and it works really well, and it adds to that character. It does add to the main character is kind of a badass. I think so is what she's going for. Is we establish he's a little bit of a goofball, or he's a little bit of a goofball, and now he's got his full on time to go murder some sorcerers. Because the story is he is trying to find out who turned him into the thing he is. I love this scash. Like Japanese or manga sound effects are so interesting and good. Like if I struggle on trying to come up with what sounds is what. Look at mangas because those I feel like they're very underrated for a lot of aspects, and stuff like that you can learn a lot from. Where are we going now? Well, we're get to our, we're moving the story forward, getting our Nikaido and some interesting character, like not development, but we just discovered Kaiman's goofball with like I'm looking at this. If this is the first chapter you're looking at, because that might happen if they're selling these in magazines at a time. You're probably not going to have every single zine. If this is, if you're a Japanese person, if you're an individual who lives there and you're buying a magazine for the first time, and you're flipping through it, they're establishing those character traits. Kaiman's a goofball. He spikes his pillow. Uh, Nikaido, I think having her not just standing prone, upright, looking bored, but have her doing something, eating, I think that adds to the character and it makes the book flow more organically. It's going to have people come back, and then adding the happy go lucky Kaiman wanting pork buns. He wants to eat, it's adding that camaraderie as they're friends and we're trying to sell that they are friends, you know and they're what they're doing today is there's a dude who lives in the back of Kaiman's throat and they're taking some photos to see if they can spot him. And really good page getting that camaraderie, noting that Kaiman almost broke his jaw trying to get his mouth that open to have them take a picture. I think these are some really good pages showing how lanky Kaiman is compared to her, like a full body shot, from a distance. Really good angle, really good perspective. Think about doing that kind of stuff in your artwork. How can you make the composition interesting? You know, Q is really good about not having talking heads. And what I mean by that is just having, if you just had 10 panels as just this, it's going to get boring fast. The viewer's not going to keep coming back, not going to want to, it's going to get boring. They're going to lose interest. Figuring out how to make it different, like having a panel like this, having a little flashback, you know, it keeps it interesting and it keeps it flowing organically good, and Q does a really good job about that. So if you're struggling with like dialogue, look at this book. I'm not saying it's like Solomon where this is the best book, because I'm never going to say something's the best, but it's a really good tool to have. I have almost 2,000 comic books in my collection, and each one is a tool I can use. Like if I'm having trouble, let me read 5 books and see what works, what doesn't, what can I add to my artwork. I'm not copying, I'm learning, and that's something you need to do. It takes 1,000 hours to get better, and it takes 1,000 hours of you drawing at the table. It takes 1,000 hours of you studying artwork, and this is part of your 1,000 hours is just studying artwork. Really good panel right there. Really good choice adding this like white outline because else the characters would get lost in that black void. So think about stuff like that. You know, I just like how lanky he is. I don't know. It is a really good character design. Just having this reptile. When we think of like Kaiman, like crocodiles, it's a crocodile. It's really, it's a crocodile. You've seen Lake Placid. They're big. They're scary. They're monsters. But yet Q draws him really lanky, really scrawny. But we're gonna establish he can kick some butt. And that also compared to Nikaido, who spoiler alert is probably tougher than Kaiman and more of a badass. I think that's really cool. That compared, like we don't know that yet, but it's really cool how Q does that. Having the female character could have easily been the, oh, Kaiman, I'm in trouble, help me. I've been kidnapped. I'm in another castle. She is a complete badass, and we'll talk about that when we get there. It's maybe in the next volume is when we get to see little inklings of how powerful she is. Spoiler alert! A lot of spoiler alert. This is not a spoiler-free review. I talk about the art, so I talk about the story. But no, they're about to look at the photos they got, adding, some great little panels, and a door comes through. And a door is so Kaiman and Nikaido live in a place called the Hole, and the sorcerers can use these doors to test on them. So wherever there's a door, there's going to be a sorcerer nearby, and they got to find sorcerers to ask, see if they're the specific sorcerer who turned Kaiman to what he is. So there's got to be, top priority once they see a door is to find that sorcerer. And like I said, I love the smoke effects. It looks so good. And the foo. Like, I love that typography, and I want to see the original version, what it looks like in Japanese. You know, Also adding the food in Kaiman's mouth. We're playing up that character. We're still hitting that he's a goofball, your lovable dunce of a character. He's not stupid, but he's got food in his mouth. And like I said, your reader's gonna remember that. They're gonna latch onto that character trait of Kaiman. That's one of the reasons that I like him a lot. And so you need to do stuff with your characters to have one quality. Like, look at the Bone comics. Smiley Bone is always optimistic. Phony Bone is always scheming and always looks pissed. And Foam Bone is, our fish out of water kind of scaredy cat character. Think of something you can add to your character to make it stand out. Some quality, some gimmick, something. Don't make it a joke. Like, don't, it's a tightrope. And let me know in the comments, like, what if you make characters, what's something you do to make them, stand out. And we get this awesome, we're meeting another who's going to turn out to be a big supporting character, Ebisu, and a great first appearance. The smoke effect, the skull, all the sorcerers wear a mask, and that's her mask. Is this skull, a skull mask, and looks really good. As a gotcha. And turns out Fujita, who's been trying to find who might have turned Kaiman into lizard, well, it's her. And I think it's done really well here with the mushrooms on the bottom, kind of relating to what's she's going to become a supporting character and a part of the In's crime. I guess it's not a crime syndicate, but his family, his employee family. You know, And so, we realize another thing is in the first issue, Kaiman and Kaido have killed so many sorcerers that the doors are locked. They can't come in or out. So Ebisu's locked out there. So Fujita's got to bust his shoes to get her out of there before it's too late. But no, you know, I, really good figure piece. I really like that. A really good just I don't know. I like that panel a lot with him ripping off his cast to prove that he's ready for a fight. He's ready to save Ebisu. I just like that art a lot. I really love the way she's drawn this skull. She makes it rough, almost sketchy. That's quality of her artwork I like a lot. Is it looks rough in a good way. It's not crude in a bad way, because that can be done a lot. I went to art school with a lot of people who said that was their gimmick when really they just needed to study disciplines. But hers looks really good and it works in a good way. Like, I feel like the difference is you have to learn. A professor once told me you have to learn the rules to break them. So you can't think you can't get by drawing these really crude figures if you haven't studied figure drawing. Study figure drawing, or drawing the figure, and then you can experiment on what you like, what you can do. And I'm sure it's like this skull. Is it super anatomically correct? Yes and no. Like, yes, it looks really good, but a skull is not going to have all that shading, or it more shading, you know what I mean? And yet she sells it really well and really good. And just think about stuff like that. Study first, then experiment. Don't just think, oh, I'm just gonna spot all my blacks. Like, no, study shading, study light work, then experiment. I tried to do that with Magnolia. It's like I'm just gonna spot blacks. Nope. But you know what? Once I went to college and studied art, I got a lot better at shading, and now I can combine my like love of Magnolia with my new knowledge of how like light actually works. A great one-page panel with scrawny Ebisu and a great Kaiman and Nikaido. With the joke, "Mind if I gnaw on your skull?" Because we'll see what he means in a second if you haven't watched the first video of that yet. Again, that will be linked in the description if you want to watch that, and I highly recommend it. It's a good video. I hope. But no. It's a good panel, but like I said, it's a black and white book, so they, all their outfits are gonna be in black or in different tones. Um, I'm glad the pants are more of a white side because if they were black, you would lose Ebisu in that weird. It start to look like a blob, but Nikaido's white or not Nikaido, Kaiman's white pants does break up the composition, and that's why the background's white too. Because if it was a fully detailed page, all these characters will get lost in the composition. I guarantee it. So always remember stuff like that when you're making books. Is how are all these shades going to come together? And don't draw everything on the same page sometimes. Make the characters three separate pieces of art, light table it, see how they come together. It's going to save you some headache, it's going to save you some time. Sometimes it's easier to do it a long way than trying to draw all these at once, and then you're going to get frustrated. So ABC is going to start some smoke, and that's their cue to spring into action with a really good half panel motion lines. And I love motion lines. Motion lines are great. I feel like they're not done as well anymore. I feel like the 90s Extreme might have killed motion lines, like Conan 2099 jumping in a river. But yet, I think it works really good here in manga. I think it always works good in manga. Like I don't know, it just does. I think. And so, quick fight, showing their skills. Ebisu's, or not Ebisu, Nikaido's really good at fighting with their hands, and Kaiman's really good at knives. Do the one tap, kick in the Ebisu's skull, showing blood come out of it. That's really cool. That's awesome. I probably would have, if I was, if I drew that panel, and it's an amazing panel. I couldn't do it that good. If I drew it, I'd probably show the teeth getting knocked out. I think that'd be funny. The chattering teeth. And then we got Kaiman slicing her dicing her fingers off so she can't do smoke, you know. And now he's got to rip that mask off, see who's underneath, see that man, the sorcerer of a man, because he's only fought male sorcerers yet. And we get a really cute, or not cute, but interesting moment of, oh gosh, it's a woman. What are we gonna do? You know, like, is he gonna let her go just because she's a woman? What? But nope, he shoves her right in his mouth. Don't clip that. To see, is this the sorcerer who that turned him into what he is? Because we also don't know, is this his real self? Like, what goes on? The book's a really good mystery on what's going on. In this first volume, really good. Like I talked about how good the teeth, like the mouth scenes are with all the shading, all the pen work. Like I love good pen work. Like I said, you know. But no, as he's got her in his mouth. Fujita comes to save the day, but he's a few seconds too late. He's pulling her back, and well, he pulls most of her back, as we can see. You know, I don't know if you can tell, but her face is a little ripped off. So she's probably gonna be feeling that for a while with all her fingers cut off and probably some concussives. You know, but yeah, with that look of because Nakaido and Nakaido and Kamen killed his best friend in the first chapter, so there's going to be some animosity, and I think that's what this is. This could establish is Kaiman's real angry look, and Fujita's death stare. He almost lost another person to him. He probably doesn't want to do that. And that's almost the end of it. It ends on a really good joke though, as they didn't get to find out if Ebisu was. Spoiler alert, she is, but clever way to kind of mislead it because I didn't think it was her. I thought they were going to do a little trick, which they might because I've only read a third of the series, so who knows? Don't spoil it. I swear to God, if someone spoils this for me, we're picketing. You know, no more Manga Mondays for a while. I don't want people to spoil crap for me. But no, the book end, the photos get developed. Maybe there's a plus side. Nope. Turns out, he just has a cavity, and we get this utter look of defeat from Kaiman. He didn't get to find out that was sorcerer, and he's got a cavity. And now we get a colored chapter in this manga. I don't know if each of the volumes have a colored one. I think they might do. Don't quote me on that. I need to try to find the rest of mine. I think I have the first 8 volumes, but they're all at my parents' house. When I moved out, I left all my mangas. I can't find them. So I might need to slowly buy back this series, and once I find the others, just kind of trade them into a really good comic book store that gives a really good credit. But no, let's look at a colored one. Um, it's a hit or miss in my opinion. The colored chapter is probably the weakest chapter in the book. It's good, but it doesn't have this like the pen and pencil work. How sharp it is gets really lost and kind of muddied in this coloring. Like Kaiman, like that's probably my least favorite Kaiman imagery in this book. It's really good, it's really iconic, but it doesn't have this really sharp, you know, pen and pencil look. And I like that more so than a color. With coloring, my thought process is if color doesn't add anything to it, like if it just kind of is there, you need to work on your pen and ink skills. You know, your colored piece is only as good as your pen and ink sometimes, that's probably going to get some hate comments. But no, what we're meeting are we're kind of rounding up our cast of supporting characters with some really interesting artwork. Like I like this a lot. I think it's really good. It does remind me of art we probably had to study in an art survey class or world survey, and I like it a lot. This is Shin. He is one of we'll learn he is a like a hired hand for N. He's one of his cleaners. He goes in and cleans up the mess of some poor unfortunate souls. Probably one of my favorite panels in this book is this really good or not in Shin piece. I wonder like if some of these are like full scale pieces of art, because it looks too small just to be that small, right? Like Jeff Darrow does 18 by 20-inch pieces of paper for his artwork. So I'm wondering if this is similar, where each, some of these panels is a full scale piece of art. And it's, I'm sure this is probably paintings. So, that seems real small. I bet it's gouache, though. And, gouache you can probably work on a smaller scale. But I'm curious how that works. So we're meeting Shin and Noe, who is another one of N's cleaners. And just their first adventure in the book. And I guess I shouldn't say it's not a full colored chapter. It's only the first, what is it? One, two, only the first 3 pages are colored. But it's really good. And um yeah, they're I just lost my whole train of thought. I'm sorry. They're going on their way to a job, and we get kind of their characterness that they're gonna bet who can kill the most people, or as they call it, taking out the trash. As we cut back to the hole and what Kaiman's up to, I love that panel. That's why I want to see if this is like a whole piece of artwork, or not. It is a whole piece of art. If this is like a bigger scale, because I'd love to see that original. I know Q has had exhibitions of her artwork, so I wonder if some of this is larger scale to be in that, like those exhibitions. But no, we cut back to Kaiman, who's going to go visit Nikaido with some really good body art, or not, getting that figure here. He does look stockier, but that he's just wearing a bigger jacket. And we're learning that Nikaido's under the weather. it's raining. So hint, hint. That's going to turn out to be a big thing. She's not feeling good, so our duo's kind of separated in this. What's Kaiman like without Nikaido? Going around, and it proves that it's playing up that they're still establishing their friendship. You know, they're really good friends. She makes lunch for him even when she's not feeling good, and he goes and just kind of talks through the door. Making sure she's okay. And I think that's important. If your friends are characters, do scenes like that. Play it or sell it. If they never interact outside just the story, a little bit harder to establish that they're characters. Hard to sell it. So think of stuff like that. And like I said, I just love the way she draws Kaiman. He always looks good, and so does Nakaido. All the characters, she is really good at original characters. Like the doctor has this weird. The Kaiman works at a hospital, and the doctor, his boss, has this really interesting like tattoo design on his face, and I've always wondered what it's supposed to be. You know, and they're talking about the rain and how the sorcerers hate the rain because the rain is a direct consequence of the sorcerers. All the smoke, they use smoke for their magic, and all the smoke builds up in the sky and then rains. So Nikaido's feeling under the weather, and I wonder why. Hint, hint. Like this first volume is really good at setting up really important ideas for future volumes. Spoiler alert: Nakaido's a sorcerer too, so we're already setting that up that she's not feeling well. Sorcerers don't feel well when it's rain. Bada bing, bada boom. But no, we're playing in that the Kaiman and the Doctor are playing a sort of card game, and getting some more character growth. That once Kaiman wins and the Doctor goes kind of ballistic, you know, I like the Doctor a lot. I think he's a good character, and we're showing that he's a doctor, but he's a hothead. Which doctors probably shouldn't be hotheads, but yet our lovable doctor in this one is. And now we're showing Kaiman going to work. You know, pretty good. A little short montage of him at work. Not too long, not too short. I just like stuff like that. So he sits down to eat. I'm surprised that hasn't been a widely reproduced panel because that's a really good panel right there. And his last job is you got to take out this random trash bag, which is the most confusing part of this book to me. And we'll talk about that. Really good art like that. She has to have a reference for that, right? Like some like an alligator, crocodile at a zoo. She has to look at, or I guess Google. I guess that's a thing now. Just looking at Google. And what are we doing? We're cutting back to Shin and Noi taking out the trash. And Noi's strong. She's putting all these dudes' heads in the walls. And what's Shin doing? Well, he uses a hammer to beat the crap out of them. Not as powerful as shoving them through a wall, but cool nonetheless. With a really good just page of Shin. Why has he got all these like scars on his fingers? What's with the heart? Like really good artwork. Really, I think I see this on T-shirts too. That's probably another big reproduced image is of Shin. Like he passes silhouette test. His mask is a heart, and I think it works really good. You know, and we're getting some of his background is he didn't want to kill him, but they decided to waste their lives and fight him, so he doesn't care. They're morons to him because they chose death because they should have known he would have beat them. And they might, so he is sympathetic in a way because he didn't want to come in and kill him. I'm sure if they didn't fight him, they're here to kill this one guy. So maybe in an alternate reality, they don't fight him and they let him all live and they just come to clean up this guy. You know, who they call the only decent sorcerer, who In has specifically sent them to kill him because they try to kill In. In is their boss. In is Shin and Noi's boss. Like, and I guess he's in a little bit of the first chapter we looked at today, But I paused that. Um, like I said, um, N's a top dog, so everyone wants to get a piece of him. So this old man sorcerer gets up, and I think the artist really does a good job of selling these old with the crick crick of his back breaking, the really wavy lines of the artwork. I think it really sells that. Yeah, this is an old dude. You know, he probably ain't gonna put up much of a fight, but you know and Shin proclaims you get to see what a real sorcerer can do with you'll see in a little bit. It relates to this trash bag that Kaiman kind of starts to talk to. Before this, Kaiman has killed or almost killed every sorcerer he's run into. So meeting this one, the first sorcerer, we get a very interesting look where this guy just wants to die. Apparently, someone cut him up but kept him alive because that's the magic, you know. So he's just a pile of meat, and so Kaiman does. He puts him in an incinerator and kills him. A mercy killing. But yet he's sympathetic towards and almost doesn't want to do it. And I think that's really important. Before this, he's just a killing machine. So, but we're establishing that no, he, can feel. He does feel for the misfortune. He doesn't care about, he cares. Sum him up in this chapter. He has emotions. He cares about people. We see him sad for Nakaido. Now we see him sad for a sorcerer. A sorcerer who, like I said before this, he's tried to kill every sorcerer, but yet now we see him emotional. We see, I think, he might not show it with the mask, but I think it does sell it. The body language, like holding it like you would hold a newborn, it's, showing that he cares. And that's important. Establishing emotions, establishing character traits. Like I think this adds a lot to the character of Kaiman. So remember to do stuff like that in your artwork is if you want your character to have emotions and you don't want them to be a killing machine, add a scene like this. Don't just have them, kicking down doors and shooting people for every issues. Have a, oh crap, I can bleed emotionally. And he has to go home as soon as this. He doesn't want to stay at work. With a really good panel of him just staring at the rain. And he's even questioning it, like, why am I emotional? It was a sorcerer. I hate sorcerers. And I think it's just really good to have those moments. We're adding to his character. The audience is going to be able to relate to him. We can relate that he's just not a killing machine now. He does feel. He might have the face of an alligator, but that don't mean he is an alligator. You know, and he's already back to Nakaido to see how she is, and she ain't talking for what he thinks, so he's gonna leave. And what happens? She offers him dinner because it stops raining as soon as he walks down. So a little, ray of sunshine, happy ending for this storyline of Nakaido and Kaiman because they're friends and they're gonna celebrate. Maybe she could tell that Kaiman was upset, something was going on, so she's gonna cook him dinner to put him back in his spirits. So we're cutting back now to end it how we began it with Shin and Noi as their excuse me, my throat's getting all dry. Leaving it really good artwork, really good. I wish maybe these speech balloons wouldn't be there because those would be a really or this was a one-page spread. Yeah, probably better one-page spread, and their figures just look really good. We're getting to know what the characters look like a lot. And we're establishing that you know I guess I forgot to mention in the first of the book, Shin asked Noi, "Did you get the trash bags I wanted?" And they were out of his brand. And it turns out Shin is the sorcerer who can cut people up and keep them alive in parts and pieces. And so Noi raises the bag, and a good joke to end this series or this chapter on is he just plumb falls right out of it. The bag rips, and I think that's just hilarious. And that's a good way to end it. Really good art, adding on a joke and adding kind of the character's perspective. Noise, this happy-go-lucky brute, and Shin's, you're cool-headed, like almost a parallel to Nikaido and Kaiman. Our Nikaido Kaiman for this world, because it's two separate worlds. And that is another two-ish chapters of Dorohedoro. Like I said, it is a phenomenal series. If you want a good black and white book, if you like manga, I think you should check it out. I guess there's still enough of it to do one more video on, and then we're gonna be doing a manga made by the guy who made Akira. It's not Akira, but it's another manga he made, and it's really good. I can't wait to reread it and talk about it. I feel like I talked about more story elements in this than art, but the artist Q does really good at story and art. But you gotta have both to make a good comic book, story and art. So maybe it was good I talked about the art aspects a little bit more than the story, or I'm sorry, the other way around, the story more than the art. But if you made to the end of this video, thank you. It really helps us out. If you like something, like, comment, subscribe. That's been helping us out a lot. It's been fun. Comment what you like. Comment if this is your favorite manga. Comment what I could do better. I'm learning at this with you guys. I'd like to thank all the subscribers I have. It's been great. You guys have been doing some really good stuff. Like comments. I've responded to every comment, and it's just been fun. So I guess I'll stop rambling, send done some marching orders, and I'm out of here. Make more art.